help support my channel. I have merch with terrible dinosaur puns on it, and I also have a Patreon where I have giveaways every 4 months. Hello everyone, and today I'll be doing one of my Patreon giveaways. So every 4 months I do a Patreon giveaway and I paint up a custom Snap Squad model as requested by the winner of the Patreon. So this time I'm doing this Carnotaurus, Pennaku, I believe its name is. So since there's a huge amount of tutorials on my channel already of how to paint, I'm going to go straight to a story time. So I decided today I'm going to tell some stories of my time in retail with some interesting customers. So my first story has a bit of backstory, so bear with me. So at this time I used to live in a smaller city that had a massive art magazine going that was very popular in the area because it's a very arty area. And it was very hard to get into this magazine, so for about 5 years I had dreamed of getting into this magazine. And that particular year of that month, I was just so happened to be lucky enough to get a 2-page feature in this magazine, so I'm still grateful to this day and still so stoked that I got into it. But the point of this is that I was all of a sudden very well known in the area as an artist because of this magazine and this feature. So, to that particular day, I worked in an art store selling art supplies at this time, and during that day the phone rang, so I answered the phone with blah blah blah, this is Sweet Fox Wings, how can I help? And the lady goes, hello, I'm looking for this particular brand of this colour, Dark Purple. So I said, okay, I'll go check for you. So I keep the phone in my ear and I walk over to that particular brand of oil colours, and I look at the colours and I'm like, I'm sorry ma'am, we don't have that colour at this time. She just went off immediately at me. Why don't you have what I want? Do you know who I am? I need this now for a commission. You do not know how much I get paid for these paintings. I need it now. I was like, okay. How about, by the sounds, you're a well-knowledged artist. How about I read out the other colours and we find a colour that's going to be close enough for you to mix together to make Dark Purple. She's like, fine. So I go to the start of the purples, and the very first colour I read out. Now I will admit before I read out this name that it is a dumb name for this paint, but whatever. So I read out the first colour, Dark Blue. She snapped at me. You are not an artist. Why do you work here? You are so dumb. You don't even know your colours. Why are you even here? Do you know who I am? While she's berating me over the phone, I'm just looking at this colour going, that is a dumb name for a colour. But boy golly, that's not even an in-between colour. That is not even a bluey purple. That is a straight up purple. So I let her go off at me. And then when she finally calmed down enough for me to interject, I was like, well, how about, I know Dark Purple exists in acrylics because that's what I use. How about I go over to the acrylics, I grab Dark Purple, and I can see what I can match to that colour. She didn't like this idea, but she eventually let me do that. So I walked over to the acrylics and I grabbed Dark Purple and Jo Sonia. And I walked back over to that brand of oils, and guess what the perfect colour match was? Dark Blue. She was not having it. She began berating me over the phone again. You're not an artist. You don't know what you're talking about. Why do you even work here? You are so dumb. Do you even know who I am? Do you know how much my paintings go for? And I was like, okay, ma'am. Are you sure we're just not getting confused? Do you still have the bottle by chance of that paint? Yes, I do. It's around here somewhere, and I know it's called Dark Purple. I've been using this brand for years. So she kept going off at me. I couldn't help her, and eventually she was demanding head office's number, so I gave head office's number to her and ended the call. I gave the manager the heads up because usually disgruntled customers complain, and I like to give the manager a head up. I gave her the heads up. My co-worker, who could hear her through the phone the entire time because the lady was so loud through the phone, also told her end of the story to my manager. So the day continues on and we move on to the next day. The next day I come into work and there's an email from head office saying that this lady had called. She was very upset. They had gone head over heels trying to help her, even to the point of calling the company that made those oils and asked, hey, have you guys ever made Dark purple? To which they replied, no, we don't have a paint called Darkazine purple. We do have a colour match for that colour, which is Darkazine blue. We call it Darkazine blue in this company. So they apparently had tried to tell her this, that the company had never made Darkazine purple, that they call that colour Darkazine blue, but she wasn't having it. Apparently she was coming in that day with her bottle of Darkazine purple, was going to show us and was going to colour match, and we were going to do our best to appease her. So we awaited her to come in. Of course she comes in naturally while my manager's on lunch break. So I immediately noticed her when she came in the door because she was very huffy. I leave the counter because I was like, I've already upset this lady. I don't want to upset her more. I'll leave her for my co-worker to help. No, she points at me and beelines straight to me and goes, no, I want you to help me. I've seen you in that magazine. You're clearly an artist. You know what you're talking about. I was like, okay. So I walk back to the counter and grab the Darkazine blue. And she just immediately begins complaining about the girl on the phone, which was me, by the way, to me, whilst also complimenting my art. And she did this for a good while, continually complaining and berating the girl on the phone, who was me, to me, while complimenting my art. So I let her do that, and when she finally finished, I was like, okay, ma'am. And I walked her over to the oils and showed her the Darkazine blue and said, did you by chance bring your bottle in? She goes, no, I couldn't find it. I was like, okay, well, this is the colour the company suggested, and these are all the other purples. She eventually bought the Darkazine blue, naturally, because that's the colour they had. She complimented my art at the counter again and said, oh, by the way, I'm going to put in a complaint to head office about that girl on the phone. She clearly shouldn't work here. She's not an artist. But I'll also put in a compliment about you. You should work here. They should hire more people like you. So she left, and I was left standing at the counter going, well, this isn't a weird situation. That lady both loves and hates me. I really, really hope her painting turned out, and I hope the person who commissioned her was happy with the painting. I personally think that was a really dumb name for a paint colour. I can understand her confusion. She probably had been buying that paint for years and had just naturally was calling it Darkazine purple because it looks purple, but hadn't bothered to read the bottle or whatever. So I can understand the confusion, but I just wish she would have listened and not assumed immediately that we were all dumb. But I can understand her frustration, but still. I wonder if she ever figured out I was the girl on the phone. I don't know. But to be loved and hated, and to be complained about to your face as if you're not that same person. I don't know. It was a weird situation. But we're moving along. My next story is the same store, different customer. So we had just got a massive delivery of this odd size canvas, and because it's an odd size canvas, it had come on sale to a really ridiculously good price for those quality of canvases. So we had one lady come in, I believe she was running a school or art classes, I'm not too sure, but she ended up buying the whole lot and paying for it then and there, and telling us that she would come back the next day to pick it all up with a trailer, because it was like 20 canvases or something of a very large size. I mean, they won't fit in a small car. One on their own won't fit in a small car. So obviously she had to come back, and we were fine holding them for her. We didn't have a storage room for these canvases, so we had to keep them on the showroom floor, but we had all these signs that we had written up over them saying sold and already paid for, and just letting customers know that you can't buy these ones, they're already sold. They were very big, bright yellow signs and very bold over the whole lot of the canvases. So it was towards the end of the day. I think I had like half an hour to go towards closing. I was the only one in the store. And this gentleman comes in, and he looks around for the store for a while, and as he's leaving, he sees those canvases. And he walks over to them, and he goes, how much for them? And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, sir, they've already been sold, they're already paid for. So? How much for them? I'm like, I'm sorry, sir, someone's already paid for them. So? I want to buy them. Can't you sell me one? I can't. They're already paid for. they're already sold and we don't have any more. I can call another store to see if they have any more. No, I want one of these. Why can't you sell me one of these and just get a new one for the customer? Because they're a discontinued item, sir. I won't be getting any more. This is all we have, and those ones have already been paid for and sold. Then why are they still on the floor? Because the customer is coming back for them, and I have nowhere else to put them. This went back and forth for a while. Just a headachy of a customer where you just have to put on your fake smile and just keep on grinning and bearing it while they continually ask the same question in different ways, and you have to give them the same answer. Eventually he got annoyed with me, and as he walked out the door, he gave me the bird, and I was like, okay, whatever. And it was about 10 minutes later, so he had fully walked off, and I was sweeping the store and getting ready to close. He came back 10 minutes later and put his head in the door and yelled, "It's about time you got a real job, hun," and walked off. And I just looked around the store and went, wow, my imagination's good. I didn't realize this was all a fantasy. I thought this job was real. How more real does this job get, sir? I get paid. This job's pretty darn real. Oh, some people make me laugh. My next customer, a lot of my co-workers still talk about to this day. We call her the Christmas Karen. Now, this was the same company, different store. This store that I worked at now was an extremely busy store. This was one of the busiest stores, and it was in a very busy shopping mall. And it was Christmas time, so busy on Christmas busy level of busy. We had this customer call the store, and she told us that she's painting this painting to hang up on her wall to raise the value of her house. We have a lot of customers call our store and tell us long-winded stories, and we usually just half listen to them until we get to the point of what the customer's actually calling about. She wanted advice on how to paint this painting, and what she wanted to do was do a pouring painting. I'm not proficient in pouring painting, so obviously when I got this phone call, I handed her off to the lady who is our manager. Our manager is a very proficient artist at pouring paintings. So she was on the phone for a good 20 minutes talking this lady through each step of how to do the pouring painting, how to make sure your colours are going to work together, what materials you need, all this extra effort for this lady, while we have two massive lines of customers wanting to be served and another line of customers wanting assistance. We're running off our heels trying to help, and our manager is doing her best to get this lady off the phone as quickly as possible while still giving her the advice she needs. Great. Except this lady proceeded to call every hour on the hour for more help while she painted her painting. And she would hold us up for 10 minutes each time, wanting advice on this painting as she was painting it. Every hour! It was just driving us insane because we had so many customers, and customers were getting angry with us because they could see that someone could help them, but they were stuck on the phone for so long. But we continued on. We continued to help her the whole day. The next day, this continues on every hour on the hour. This lady is calling us again. Apparently the first painting hadn't turned out, so she was doing it again, and she was literally doing it again to us every hour on the hour, calling us as we walk her through each step of the way with this painting, while we have two massive lines at the door of our store of people waiting to be served while another bunch are waiting for advice, and there's only 3 of us in the store. It's just... Eventually our manager had to tell, look, you can't keep doing this. We are extremely busy. We have given you all the help we can give you. Of course, the manager said this in the most politest way we could, but we had to put a stop to this. We were being held up majorly, and we were getting more and more customers angry with us. Just having these phone calls consistently hold us up for long periods of time. So she eventually stops calling us that afternoon. The 3rd day rolls around, and she calls, and she's extremely mad because we apparently have devalued her house because the painting didn't work out. The painting she believes is so inferior. The painting that she did is so inferior that we, the staff at the store, are at fault for devaluing her house. Let that sink in. None of us painted that painting, and I really don't know how a painting devalues a house in the first place. But okay. Sure. Why not? Of course the manager dealt with that one, but I was the one that answered the phone call, and that was what I was told on the phone through her, and I was just dumbfounded. Like, really? Okay, all we did was give you advice. We didn't paint the painting for you. But sure. Why not? Some people just leave you with grey hairs. And that's really all I have for my stories in retail. I'm sure all these people were just having bad days, and we would just so happen to be the people that they vented on. That's how I usually think of it. Like the painting lady, she was probably just really stressed about selling her house, and we just so happened to be the people she vented on. So yeah, that's my stories in retail. I hope you like this little guy. I think he turned out quite nice. Penaku. And of course, I have some lovely photos of here with my mascot little Ringo, which is apple in Japanese. So yeah, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye guys!